Right, so all the final frames have now been added, the beams that is. Little square box in here that has a hatchway that goes down. There's another hatchway here, and you'll see when I put that in there's another curved cabin area here which is normally replicated on this side. However, I've decided to leave it out. There's no point, there's just a representational side that side. Zoom in a bit more so you can see it. It's a little dark to see. Yeah, that's the cabin area under there. Little piece that goes down, so you have a doorway here, cabin here, and all the stuff that goes through the back. So pull out. The other cabin area here. You can see down through there where you can't from the angle I'm on, but you can see the two wine barrels. And that's the area where the fireplace sits. It's the main mast. See how the fireplace sits. Really complex little build, but not too difficult. Well, that sits there, and the final beam sits across there. So this guy sits up back against the system with two bricks either side, and that, once you put all the cross pieces on, I'll put this properly where it should be so it doesn't look funny, a funny angle. There we go. Take back out. That's the final kit. And I'm going to do all these pieces across all that. Otherwise, that's it. Alright, so it's all finished in here now. Now, there are a couple of things I need to mention. When you add the fireplace, these two pieces go hard up against it, and you can't take that out or put it in once you put those in place. So all the others can go in place, but remember, glue these two in last once you've positioned this, and make sure that your base hasn't been glued in or lined up until you calculate where it's going to go with that. Otherwise you may find this not sitting on the base. Brightness in here. All these pieces which come out of this guy labelled correctly, however require quite a lot of adjustment to fit in here, and if you're not careful, the pieces that go up form the supports under these will not fit in these little slot holes here. So there's quite a bit of adjustment of all of these guys, but once you do adjust them, they do fit nicely. These guys I found fit, which are the arch supports, fit really easy. I left them out in several places where we had the cabin structure put in. As I said, this is the last little cabin structure I think I mentioned last time. So they're in there now. Everything that is included in the kit as an additional extra is now underneath this area. Your question, apart from the holes here that are specifically set up for other pieces such as hatchways and doors, and obviously the fireplace and the mast, is whether you want to add all these guys over the whole thing. Once you do, you won't see much of what's under here. It's solid as without them, but yeah, it's entirely your choice as to which bits you may or may not want to cover. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to put the pieces around the side here and have a think about it. I can't make any recommendations. It depends on whether you put the cabin work in or not. If you haven't put any of the cabin work in, it doesn't matter. It really is solid. Anyway, I shall continue on filling in the areas that I want. Obviously you're going to have to do the edge ones, otherwise you can't fit the cannons on, because they will take up a fair bit of space, which is about most of that. So I'm going to cover those basic side edges, but I may leave a lot of their central area free so you can actually see inside the ship. You cannot see it through the ribs, unless you cut the ribs, which I'm not going to do. Anyway, that's my bleeding on about this. I'll show you in the next video what I've done and how I add the edging strips. I'm not giving any technical names. Next, all these pieces, very little adjustment to get them in. Very simple, and it really makes it very solid. These pieces, I do warn you, several of the notches that hold the CNC parts in are cross grain and not with grain, and they are fairly big. I used a small knife or saw in the end to cut them, because cutting it with the number 11 caused a lot of these to snap off just here. As I can zoom in a bit, you can actually see. So the notches that hold these little guys in place, this is a double one, requires a bit of adjustment. The notches are just here, and because they're cross grain, as you're trying to cut through them, 9 times out of 10 this end would snap off. It was easy enough to glue back on, but it is very delicate. I suggest you use a fine micro saw to cut the notches, and don't you try and use a number 11 to cut through it. The little indentations that take cross pieces that don't line up in the right spot, so you need to adjust those. When you're putting these in, make sure you check your plan thoroughly. Make sure these notches that take the cross pieces line up with each other across here, which means that you have to flip them around because there's ones on either side. So take care when you put those in. Also, when you do sand these to fit, make sure you only sand them from one end and make it consistent. That way the notches will line up as they're supposed to. If you don't, well, once again you're also going to end up with mismatching. Now it's probably a mil and a half less, but it's enough to take these off on a funny angle when you cut these. Apart from that, it's fairly simple. It's a matter of, can't see it, following the plan, which gives you the part numbers. Remember, they're D's for the ones on the outside, E's for one on the inside. They are all over the place on this sheet, not in numerical order, they're switched around, so just take your time cutting the right pieces out. These come out really easy. Otherwise this bit it's probably taken just as long as the ribs to do, but that's because I did all the sub stuff underneath. Alright, we'll catch you in the next video. Sorry to hear the rambling on.